yards. And at week 5, the Browns are 2-2 in the AFC North. And now they got Pittsburgh
Steelers.
coming up.
Yeah, Steelers.
This week, which we'll get to in a little bit. But the Browns are. Could this team make the playoffs? I mean, really?
I don't know about the playoffs, but I could see them finishing 500 or above. I could be 8-8, 9-7, which may or may not be good enough to make the postseason. But I wouldn't be surprised if they hit that. I'll be interested to see longevity of the team, see what happens later on in some of the more crunch time games. But I wouldn't be surprised if they finish 500.
I think this division's completely up for grabs. I mean, there are major question marks raised about Cincinnati after last week because New England is not back. Okay, I know they scored a lot of points and they beat the snot out of Cincinnati. That says more about Cincinnati than it says about the New England Patriots to me.
You're kidding.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
All right, well, you can disagree all you want, but I'm telling you, Cincinnati is a better team than what they put out last night, and the fact that they lost that bad raises more questions about Cincinnati than answers about New England. 585-633-7487 if you care to join the Pitchforks and Torches Brigade.
Yeah. You know, as long as you've sort of segued us into that game, because that's the game I wanted to talk about.
See how I did that? I did it.
It was beautiful.
I did it.
Beautiful. Yeah. I really found it sort of apropos, maybe, is that the word? That after a week of just getting massacred in the media, of people talking about, is Tom Brady done? The Patriots, the dynasty is over. Not that there was a dynasty to begin with, but the fact that they were saying that, I thought that was pretty interesting, using that terminology. I mean, the fact that they came back, composed themselves, played a solid game of football against a team that, quite frankly, all three of us agreed should have beaten the Patriots, notwithstanding how they've played recently, that was a very, very good Bengals team. They didn't do anything with their bye week. They had 2 weeks to prepare for that game, and they fell flat on their face. Mm-hmm. I think it had a lot to do with the Patriots and how they walked out and took care of their business on national TV.
I agree with you. And, you know, it's just they're one of those proud franchises that were completely embarrassed the week before, and they're at home, they're on national TV, and they came out and they gave it to them. But to me, I'm not going to be sold on New England or the resurgence until I see more sustained play like what they did yesterday. You know, I mean, next week they have to go to Buffalo, which the Bills have proven this season they have a very good defense. And with Kyle Orton now, who knows what can happen with their offense. So if New England can go and do this a second week in a row, then I would start to maybe get back on the bandwagon that I was on earlier in the season where I picked them to actually go to the Super Bowl. But until then, I'm still not 100% sold. I think this was kind of a fluke.
See, the Patriots were embarrassed the previous week, just embarrassed. And I think they realized that no matter how talented we think we are, unless we come out and we execute a good football plan, or a good plan, we execute it well, this will happen again. And they refused to let that happen. They rushed for, over 220 yards, had a rushing TD. What I thought was interesting was it was Rob Gronkowski and Tim Wright, both the tight ends, who led the receiving, each with a touchdown. And then you had Gostkowski step up and kick 5 field goals. I mean, this is a team that now is saying we can score on your team anytime we have the football and in any way possible.
Well, you can't argue.
And they held the Bengals to 17 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. How many points did they put up? 43? Was it 43-17 was the final?
43-17. Yeah.
You can't argue.
It's a blowout.
You can't. Oh yeah, absolutely. You take nothing away from the Patriots, but I'm not ready to say that the Patriots are back. I'm just not ready to say
but who
that.
said they were ever gone?
I did.
Oh, come on. One loss. And you say, oh, they're gone. Okay. And then suddenly they step up and go,
Is that
sorry,
what I
we're not.
Like? Is that what I really sounded
That
like?
voice
Sorry,
is awesome.
that was uncalled
That is
for.
how
I'm
you
so
sound,
sorry.
Keith.
No, it's not.
This
Keith,
is
I'm
what it's
sorry.
like talking to Jim off the air, by the way. He's just mad because
That is incredible.
he's just mad because he hasn't gotten his game recap for the Bears and Panthers yet from me.
That's true. Where is it? Send it over now.
Yeah, and it's not just one game. They're 3-2. They were a 500 team before this game, and they lost to the Dolphins on the road, and they lost to the Chiefs badly, albeit on the road, and they barely beat the Raiders at home. There are legitimate question marks about this team. It's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
And let me tell you
like
something.
I said, I'll be interested to see what they do next week in Buffalo. I mean, if you look at this Bills team, now, mind you, I know Megatron wasn't 100% in the game against Detroit, but their defense held Detroit's offense at Detroit to one score because Detroit's other score came off of that pick six. So, I mean, you look at that defense throwing them at Tom Brady in Buffalo, which is a very difficult place to play. It is going to be a very telling game for New England because this is a game that I know they believe they should win. A lot of people believe that they should win this game, but to me, this could be a real observation into what the team is.
I would agree.
Hey, can I digress for a minute?
Of course.
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk about that kid from the Chargers, Brandon Oliver. Holy cow.
Yeah, where'd he come from?
I don't know, but all I have to say is, what was the coaching staff thinking of not giving that kid more playing time?
Yeah, seriously.
Talk about, Mighty Mouse 2, Darren Sproles II, just exploded. What did he have? Close to 200 all-purpose yards, a couple of TDs. Made me quickly forget about Ryan Matthews, Donald Brown, Danny Woodhead. Just thinking to myself, we want more of him.
So would you recommend for someone like, I don't know, my wife who has Donald Brown in her lineup, would you recommend dropping him for Oliver? Are you at that
yes,
point?
I would, because I think he's going to supplant Danny Woodhead in the Danny Woodhead position going forward.
Yeah.
There's no way this coaching staff doesn't walk out of that game and go, we need to get him the football more.
Yeah, Oliver finished with 114 yards rushing and 68 receiving.
Yeah. He just looked phenomenal. He looked awesome. He looked explosive. And as I wrote in my waiver wire report week 6 on the fantasygreek.com, he's a player that deserves more playing time. And I cannot be the only person walking around thinking that.
And not only him, what about the rebirth of Antonio Gates? I mean, so far he's got 5 touchdowns in 5 games this year.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's pretty shocking.
And
now,
Ladarius Green with only 1 target yesterday.
Yeah. We'll have to see if he makes it to week 8, but so far so good. They seem to be pacing him real well.
And nothing makes you feel better than coming off beating up the Jets than going to Oakland to play the Raiders the following week.
Dear God.
It's like 2 preseason games for San Diego.
It's like trying to pick which puddle of vomit to lick. Really.
I will say, though, the Raiders do seem to historically play up to the Chargers. I think they did last year. I think it was a much closer game than many would expect, but we'll see.
And let's not forget, this is the Tony Sperano Raiders.
Oh, that's right.
I wonder how long it took him to implement the Wildcat.
I was just going to make the same joke. I hate you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
I hate you with the power of 1,000 suns right now. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's hysterical.
I was so going to make the same thing. Damn it. Oh, and...
yeah, but Jim was able to make it funny, so
that's the difference between me and him, apparently. Oh, boy. So any other games on your radar, folks? How about the New Orleans Saints going to overtime against Tampa Bay at home?
It's pretty amazing.
The Saints, the underperformance of the Saints is really not talked about enough, I don't think. I really don't think. They are 2-3 right now, 2-0 at home, but this game against Tampa being in the Superdome, you would think would be a easy call to make. Drew Brees, 35 of 57. 57 pass attempts. Yes, I know it was overtime, but still. 57. 2 TDs, three picks. A 70.1 rating. On the other side of the ball, Mike Glennon, 19 of 32 for 249, 2 touchdowns and a pick, a 91 overall rating. And he's doing that without a running game because Doug Martin and Bobby Rainey averaged 3.2 and 3.5 yards per carry, respectively. Jim, are you, if you're in a dynasty league, is Mike Glennon somebody to stash on your bench as a backup quarterback?
Well, is a backup quarterback, are you saying that you've already got a couple quarterbacks on your team?
Like if you've got a starter and you need a bye-week replacement.
Yeah, I'm not recommending Mike Glennon just yet. I'm not sold on him being able to be consistent enough, and certainly I'm not sold on a dynasty league. If part of the reason you brought up dynasty was to say, oh, a player that can be added that will have a future in the NFL, I'm not ready to say that because he's got to get a coach to believe in him, and I'm not sure that Lovie Smith believes in him. He's certainly fulfilling the role that they needed from a quarterback, but is he their quarterback of the future? I mean, he needs to get some big games under his belt, like 3 touchdown games. He needs to lead a team against a big opponent back from, from a huge gap, and he himself lead the team back, not just collectively the team sort of comes back and has a great win. That's where my concerns are. So I'm not recommending him. He's not on my waiver wire ad list, at least not yet.
Okay.
He might be a good spot start at some point, but not next week.
Well, I asked because he's going to be my bye-week replacement for Jay Cutler.
Oh,
no,
lovely.
Wait.
Look at that.
No, I take that back. I forgot. I dropped him for Bortles. Never mind. I picked up Blake
Yeah,
Bortles.
I do remember you dropped them.
I
think next week is going to be a big challenge for him. It's going to be a little bit of a growth game going against Baltimore at home.
So, can I get your guys' opinion? Are the San Francisco 49ers back?
No. Well, I don't really think they've left.
They haven't been themselves all year. I know they've had some suspensions and whatnot, but other distractions. Nice to see Frank Gore with a big game.
I just don't think they're as good as what a lot of people thought they were going into the season. I don't think they're the same team that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
I'm interested to see how they do against the Rams on Monday night. The Rams have been just a spectacular team for a team that really should just be the doormat of the league. I mean, they found a new quarterback in Austin Davis who is probably playing better than Sam Bradford has ever played.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had back-to-back 300-plus yard throwing games. He's had back-to-back games of multiple touchdowns. I want to say he had 3 in each game. He had 2 picks in this last game, but hey, if you're going to throw the ball, 60 times, I mean, that's bound to happen, especially from somebody like him who's not a regular starter, and yet, I mean, he's succeeding. And once they could put that together with a decent running game and some good defense, I mean, they could start pulling out some wins. I mean, this wasn't like the Eagles beat them, mercilessly. I mean, they had, on the last drive of the game, they were threatening to put some points on the board, and they just didn't.
Wait, he did lose 2 fumbles, 2.
Oh, did he? Well, that's fine.
300
yards and 3 TDs, 4 turnovers. Hey, what can you do?
Is Brian Quick a regular starter now?
I think he's close to it. I was looking at his numbers. I think if you project them out, he is set to have a 1,200-yard receiving and I think 12 TDs.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Isn't that amazing? So he's definitely a wide receiver 3 right now. Now I think the next 3 games for the Rams are really difficult. I want to say they're playing 49ers, Seahawks, and I forget who the third team is.
They are playing the 49ers, Seahawks. Then they're at Kansas City, at San Francisco, at Arizona, versus Denver, at San Diego.
This is it. This is the stretch of their schedule that will test their mettle.
Oh my God!
If they can get through this part of their schedule at 500, or let's say 1 game under 500, I would be impressed.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games that will just smack them right in the mouth.
That's a brutal stretch.
Yeah.
The only good thing is that after Thanksgiving they play Oakland.
Well, there you go. You know, what about the Philadelphia Eagles, their defense? Special teams.
Yeah.
Just